You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
Boyd is coming in remote from sunny Florida.
Hot and muggy Florida.
This is dedication because it's really late at night there when we're recording this.
I have to, being in Florida, and I'm saying hot and muggy, it reminds me of a joke. I can't even remember the comedian. Said he wanted to start another basketball team in Miami and call them the Humidity. So he could go on TV as a sports announcer and say, it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. So, as you might have noticed, we didn't do a recap show this week for obvious reasons. Boyd being in Florida and at live baseball games instead of watching ball. And there won't be a recap show next week as well, because you're returning, correct?
No, I'm here for I'll be doing a podcast remotely next week, too. I've still got another week and a half left.
Oh, that's all right. Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah. In last week, though, which I thought was a brutally tough week, we managed to go 2 of 3. Which I thought was excellent work by us.
And only profited on one because I hit a wrong button checking our bets. I accidentally cashed out the Minnesota bet before the game actually started.
Well, just for simplicity, though, I'm going to mark it as a profit because that's what we bet. So with our tally, I'm going to assume that we cashed it out at its winning value, not its pre-game value.
Well, it counts as a win. We picked it right. I just fucked up, and we didn't get the payout we should have. It cost us $10, or $9.65 or whatever it is. But that's on me. But we picked it right. Well, you picked it right.
Yeah. Well, this new rule that we have to take at least one underdog is paying off for us because we are now 5-0 when picking underdogs.
That's bizarre. It's going to be tough this week.
Yeah, it is. But, yeah, nevertheless, overall, we didn't do that great. You went 7-8, I went 8-7, but that's why we only bet 3. This week is not looking any easier than last week either.
No.
So.
I don't know. I don't even know right now. I don't know what underdog game I like. And we're in the podcast.
Yeah, so. Well, we will get to that. Not much to say about the games. Green Bay didn't really roll it up, but they did enough for us to win there. The Denver, Minnesota went pretty much like it wasn't an easy cover, but I was kind of right on that one with Minnesota's pass rush making life hell for Manning. And he still doesn't look good. Like the interception he threw near the end of the first half, he had clean space in front of him, completely leaned into it, had the grimace face, and the ball almost came out sideways. Minnesota's linebacker just stepped right in front of it. And so I don't particularly care for them this week. Like to fade them, but teams with good pass rushes are going to make Denver sweat.
Yeah, they're not, like, usually when they roll into Oakland, they're 14-point favorites with Manning at quarterback, or double digits anyway.
Yeah, but okay. And I just went out with Duke, who's a listener, on Monday and watched the game, and that was a blast. So he seemed to complain that we didn't mention him enough. So shout out to Duke.
Sorry, Duke. I wanted to meet you, buddy, but I won't be back till you're gone.
Yeah, he'll be back in Georgia, and you're returning from Florida.
How does that work? I follow him on Twitter and have tweeted with him several times, and one time he's coming to town since we started the podcast. I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
Cruel world.
Yeah.
But
and the last thing I want to say is I mentioned last week that the Lions were getting screwed by the refs, but I had no idea.
Well, that's the only thing I really know about what happened last week. With all the travel and the baseball game and everything, I didn't even watch the Monday night game, but I read all about the batted ball and the ruling. And
now, I didn't know that rule existed either, but I'm not paid to officiate these games.
And apparently the Seahawks did it in a game in 2013 and benefited from it in that game too.
Oh, I missed that part of the news, but...
And on Twitter there were people writing, I wonder if Belichick probably knew that rule or something like that. And an old player, Roosevelt Colvin, tweeted out that Belichick did know that rule because they practiced it in their situational.
And Belichick himself said that too. That they put a huge focus on any kind of loose ball, knowing exactly the rules. And like they do it in practice regularly with particular emphasis on when a ball is loose, what can and can't be done. And that just shows again why Belichick's better than all the other coaches. That and cheating.
And the other thing that was weird that I read on Twitter was that not just the officials on the field, the replay officials, it was in the final 2 minutes. So even if Belichick knew the rule, he couldn't challenge it in the last 2 minutes, and the guys in the booth didn't know the rule either.
Well, and it's not reversible under any case. I mean, and this goes to another one of Belichick's arguments. Make everything challengeable. Or as much that, like there would be certain things that you can't change because too much has happened in between, but it won't slow the game down anymore. You don't give him any more challenges, but if, say, that had been Belichick and not Caldwell, and why couldn't he have challenged it and just said, no, he intentionally batted it out? And then they're saying, oh, well, it's so subjective. There was nothing subjective about that bat. The player didn't know the rule, and I would have done the same thing he did, too, right?
Yeah, but there was nobody around him. Couldn't he have just fallen on the ball for a touchback?
Defensive player falling on a ball, I would have batted it out, too. Like, it's the easiest way to make sure, because he didn't know the rule, and I believe him that he had no idea that was illegal. I would have just knocked it out of the back of the end zone, too. It's a touchback.
Well, and I think Cousin Sal tweeted out today that don't you see punchers booted out of the end zone all the time?
Well, and what about batting it out of bounds on an onside kick? Does that fall under this rule? Anyway, Detroit almost stole one. They managed to comfortably cover, but wasn't a very compelling game. Not many of the games were that great, except I did enjoy that San Diego managed to not lose to Cleveland at home. Yay. All right. I think it's that time.
It's motherfucking game time!
That's right. Motherfucking game time. The Thursday night game is off the board. Presumably wondering whether it's Luck or Hasselback. I'm pretty certain it's not off the board because they're waiting for the decision on Hoyer or Mallet.
Oh, it's Mallet.
Oh, is it Mallet?
Yeah. Yeah, he's sticking with Mallet. But it just goes to my fantasy. I have to bring this up because I've been getting bit in the ass by fantasy for 2 years straight. Andrew Luck hasn't missed a game in 3 years. I pick him up and gone. He's not playing this week.
Oh, just because you need him?
No, but all that stink they made today about him taking all the snaps in practice and stuff because Hasselback has the flu is garbage because it was a light practice. He was basically just handing off. It wasn't a full practice. So he's not. And Where there's smoke, there's fire. The reports are he has a partially dislocated shoulder. And the Colts are denying it. Well, of course you're going to deny it.
Well, yeah, because that lots other questions. Like, why didn't you maybe try to build him an O-line?
But they'll deny it until game time, and he's not going to play.
Well, yeah, because Pagano came out and said last week repeatedly that he was certain Luck would play. And I don't think it was ever a possibility.
Mm-mm. But how does that not come up that he was hurt after the Titans game? Because they pummeled him for 3 quarters. But
yeah, well,
I don't think he plays.
All right. That said, luckily we can't bet this for a couple of reasons. We don't generally bet Thursday games, and I want nothing to do with it to begin with. Houston was absolutely appalling. I can't imagine them playing worse, and maybe the humiliation will work, but I'm going to follow your lead on this because I can't pick a Houston game on my own, boys.
I'm taking Indy.
I'll
take Hasselbeck over Mallet.
True enough. Yeah, I'm going to take Indy too. That's where I was leaning, but my record on Houston is appalling this year, so...
You got it right last week.
That's because I followed you.
That's right.
All right. Sunday football. First up, we cannot bet either. Buffalo are 2.5-point favorites going to Tennessee.
Oh, man. Okay, fill me in. What happened to Buffalo last week?
An unheard of number of penalties and terrible tackling. And the Giants, you were right not to buy in on Buffalo's quarterback, Tyrod, yet. They kept him from running, they kept him from moving around, and he was wildly inaccurate in what I saw of it.
I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one.
Hey, as I said, you were correct.
Quarterbacks that don't play for 5 years, there's a reason. They're wildly inconsistent and don't show enough in practice. If he was that good in practice, somebody in 5 years would have seen it. The Bills will be an 8-8 team. We'll flush $5 down the toilet, and from our preseason bet on them to win the division.
Oh yeah,
and
that one's done.
Move on.
Yeah.
So we thought their defense could do something. Giants scored 24 points. The Giants could be 4-0 right now if they could hold the fucking fourth quarter lead in those first 2 games.
Yeah, I'm in the process of really reevaluating the Giants, but we'll get to that with their game coming up later.
And I think this is the type of Tyrod Taylor is the type of quarterback the Titans could have success against. I don't know if Watkins is going to be back for Buffalo. Is Williams still out with a concussion? The rookie running back?
Yeah, as far as I know, but you never hear about the protocol until late in the week. And I think McCoy is a definite out at this stage.
Yeah, he said he's not playing again until he's 100%. I think I saw something on the ticker scroll across one night on SportsCenter.
I mean, that said, Buffalo had a fighting chance in this game without the penalties. I mean, they took 2 unnecessary roughness, 2 unsportsmanlike, a multitude of offside and procedure. Like, they were the least disciplined. It wasn't even like they were intimidation penalties. They were just leaderless.
Yeah, but that's Rex Ryan defense.
Yep.
Pushes him right to the edge. There was a cornerstone. See, in Philly, when Buddy Ryan had the Eagles defense, they were that way too. But they had enough talent that the fucking penalties didn't matter. Buffalo's not at that level. They have a good defense, but if you shoot yourself in the foot all day, they're not good enough to win.
And the Giants, too. I mean, I did not see Eli try to push the ball down the field at all. They would just quick, back off the pass rush. Just a quick release, like the Jennings touchdown. It was 51 yards, but I think the ball went about 2 down the field, and then it was just missed tackles. People trying for the hit instead of pushing out of bounds when he's going down the sidelines, like just undisciplined. So that said, Buffalo seems to be a great team one week and a terrible team the next. So I think your Titans are in for a bit of it.
I don't think so.
No?
What does Mariota do? He gets rid of the ball quick. We run, when we have success, we run slants, quick slants, 5-6 yard passes. We've run the ball well, and Tyrod Taylor isn't Andrew Luck. Our defense was getting heat. We've got a decent pass rush. So, and a couple of the plays the Colts got touchdowns on, Luck just threw them up as basic jump balls. So I'm taking Tennessee.
Okay. I am foolishly probably taking Buffalo. By the way, you're having a great year overall, by the way. Like, 7-8 wasn't tremendous, but you were 10 games over 500 when I posted the overall record, so I should just be following you.
Well, it was just one good week, basically. I went 13-3. That puts you 10
I went 12
over.
that week, though, and you're up on me by about 7 games, I think. All right, next game up, Chicago +9 at Kansas City. Last week we got the surprise start by Jay Cutler. He didn't look bad. I mean, I guess Chicago's probably going to ease up on him in a bit after seeing 1 week at Clausen. KC looked awful. Like, all the bad shit you associate with Reed, all of it appeared in this game. I watched a lot of the KC Cincy game, and terrible red zone, terrible defense, time management, gutless. Like, Cairo hit 7 field goals, but what are you doing kicking a field goal when they were down late and kick another 50-yard field goal? Like,
what did it make the margin then?
I believe it might have made the margin 8, but it was 4th and short, and you'd been struggling moving.
Mm-mm.
I think it went from.
You always kick the field goal.
I suppose you do, but
because if you don't and you get stopped further down, like, you still need to touch down the onside. If there's any chance you could get stopped and turn the ball over, you got to take the points. I'll always do that. I won't kill Andy Reid for that, but for most of his stuff, I would kill him. But I think, is the right call.
Yeah.
Because it saves time, too.
They were moving the ball pretty well, but only between the 20s. Once they got to the red zone, they were pretty much a disaster. Like, Charles was good on the swing passes, but they didn't push the ball downfield at all, which...
They signed Macklin to play with a quarterback that can't throw the ball 40 yards. And Macklin's not a red zone receiver, so what the fuck are you using him for?
But I was looking, actually, when they have tried to push it to him, he's been reasonably effective. But in any case, like, since he's a good team, that's my opinion this year, I'm going to I don't think KC is worth laying 9.
No.
I'm going to have to take Chicago here, but I don't want to bet it. Now we'll see where we get with underdogs. We may end up.
Wow. Wasn't Chicago's game close last week?
Yeah, but they won, admittedly at home. They didn't look great from what I saw, but I didn't watch a whole bunch of it, I've got to admit.
Who did they beat?
Raiders.
Oh, yeah, 22-20. Yeah, I'll take the Bears, too. I'm going to follow you there. Chiefs just don't score enough.
No, and at some point, suddenly it'll turn around like all Reed teams do just to screw me, but they did almost nothing to impress me. Cincy's O-line is about 30 times better than Chicago's, but they may have touched Andy Dalton twice. So, and that's with Houston, and, the defense that we thought could generate pressure showed none against Cincy, who admittedly are very good on the O-line. All right. Next up, we have Cleveland, plus 6.5 at Baltimore.
Don't want to touch this either.
This I had marked as a possible underdog pick.
Yeah, but what did the Ravens show?
Well, the Ravens showed 4 broken bones in Steve Smith's back. Like, he, I suspect, has a ridiculous pain tolerance, but it's still going to affect your movement and everything. And after him, who does Baltimore have as offensive weapons?
Well, yeah, but what does Cleveland have as offensive weapons?
Well, if Hayden comes back, Cleveland's offense looked... Wow, the Chargers' defense is atrocious. But Cleveland moved the ball well.
I can't. There's no way this is our underdog pick. There's no way in hell I can sign off on that.
All right.
There's no way.
This is more just a pick. Everyone keeps acting like it's Baltimore from a year ago or 2 years ago. No,
it's not. But I don't want to bet this game either way.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I'm just finding it tough to look at an underdog here.
Well, the next game up's a possibility.
Oh, that's true. Okay, who do you want in this Cleveland game, though? Like, I understand how bad the Chargers' defense is, particularly when both starting corners are out, which also happened in that game on Sunday. 2 cornerbacks, 3 offensive linemen, and 2 wide receivers out. How the Chargers got a win, I still am a little unclear.
So,
I am going to take Cleveland plus 6.5, though. I've got no faith in Baltimore. They stole that goddamn game on Thursday.
No, I know. But Michael Vick's comparative to whatever Cleveland can throw out there. And their secondary's pretty good. No, I'm taking Baltimore at home.
All right.
With one of those games, Flacco lights it up. Cleveland's pass defense isn't as good as people think.
No, it's not, though. The Chargers cheated wildly in a lot of that. Like, they were running pick plays underneath that, frankly, disturbed me a little. And nothing got flagged.
Did they not get Forsett going against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think he got like 147 yards or something.
Yeah, and if you can get outside on Cleveland, and you run all day.
Well, you can run all day. Like, that's what the Chargers did with the pick plays, is they would run a pick underneath, throw it to Woodhead, and he'd rumble for 60-odd yards. Chargers had 2 plays over 60, which is kind of what you're referring to. They don't have pursuit speed. Yeah, I'm still taking Cleveland because I don't think Baltimore... I really don't think Baltimore should be favored by 6.5 over anybody.
Well, let's just say this. They went back to smash mouth football, running the ball against Pittsburgh. I know they should have lost. But their defense was hitting, and I know it was Michael Vick. But their defense played well.
They were down 20-7 late in the third.
That wasn't the defense's fault so much.
And the game's out of reach if Pittsburgh's kicker, or former kicker, I believe.
Oh, I know.
Could have hit fucking anything.
I know. I had Pittsburgh in that game, believe me. I was cheering for Pittsburgh, which is odd. But against I can't take Cleveland. No, they're terrible.
That's fair. My argument comes down to I don't think Baltimore should be 6.5 over anybody.
Okay, but their one win this year for Cleveland came with Manziel. And I know he only completed 8 passes. But when the fuck do you make the change? What the fuck are they waiting for?
McCown had an excellent fucking game.
I don't care.
Versus backup corners. But he was hitting Benjamin a bit, too. I mean, they're finding their way a little bit on offense. There were...
Do you not have to win? Do you not want to win?
What?
Like, what do you got? Who? They're not... McCown's not long-term answer.
Oh,
you got to find
no.
out if Manziel is. No, but you have to find
That's
out if
true.
Manziel is. And if he's not, you're drafting a quarterback this year.
That's a great point.
That's what drives me nuts.
Because they're pretty much already out of it, the way Cincy's cruising. No, okay, looked at that way, you are 100% right.
And McCown's a career backup. He's not your starter long-term. So what quarterback has come from a backup to a starter and been fantastic? There's a couple in history, but it doesn't usually happen. So these teams are just floundering with these fucking backups they sign as free agents. When you draft Manziel in the first round and he's in his second year and you're 1-3 and he's got your only win, what the fuck are you waiting for?
Yeah, and then if he's a disaster, you just cut him loose. You're done with him. If he's a complete disaster, yeah.
Look what the Titans did last year. Locker goes down. Mettenberger comes in. They stick with him the whole year because they weren't going to re-sign Locker. You find out what you have in Mettenberger. If he would have lit it up last year, they don't draft Mariota. But he didn't. He showed flashes of it, but he didn't light it up, so you move on. That's what Cleveland has to do. If you don't, fuck, you sit there with Manziel for 4 years and them screaming Johnny every fucking game you're losing at home. The fuck are they doing? Makes no sense.
Yep. No, that was really solid. All right, next up, we have Jacksonville +3 at Tampa Bay. I had Jacksonville +9. They should have won that fucking game. I think you might be right about the underdog pick here, Boyd.
There's nothing else on the board. And
Winston looks brutal. His picks were terrible picks, and they were on him.
And it turned into 27 Carolina points, which, fantasy again, if Carolina fucks me. Thank you, Cam Newton, you cocksucker.
I was happy with Ted Ginn last week. But Carolina is better than Jacksonville, though I still think they're a bit overrated at this stage. They've played cream puffs. Though Jacksonville is getting better. Yeldon is not a bad back from what I've seen.
No, I couldn't tell you who plays for him.
Hearns, Robinson are not a terrible wideout tandem. Bortles gets time, which Tampa Bay has a little bit of a rush, but it's not overwhelming. No, this is definitely in the mix as our underdog pick, I think.
And this might be money line.
At 3? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's -125. So, this is really going to put our fucking underdog streak to the test this week.
Yeah, taking Jacksonville.
Or, well, I don't know who else might show up.
Well, let's think about it. Is Tampa Bay better than Indy? I don't think so. Indy's rife with problems. And, yeah, it was their backup quarterback. But Jacksonville wasn't intimidated in that stadium, which is a tough place to play. Indy's home record over the last 2 decades has been stellar.
Well, yeah, but anybody's would be with Manning than Luck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a given. But even in the Manning and Luck years, they performed far differently at home than they did on the road.
Yes.
No,
I like that one in the mix.
That one's in the mix, and I think we're clearly both on Jacksonville.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have New Orleans +4.5 at Philly. I am not going anywhere near a fucking Philly game to save my life. I have no idea.
What did they lost.
Yes, a 90-yard drive by Kirk Cousins to score with 12 seconds left.
Oh, Chipper Dipper's gone at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Another failed college experiment. And that team's in shambles. There's nothing there. Well, there's talent there. But not at quarterback.
No.
No talent at quarterback. Their wideouts aren't horrible. Matthews isn't horrible.
Riley
they have good
Cooper
running
is.
backs. Yeah, but they have good running backs.
I mean, but the O-line, which was a strength, as little as, at the end of last season, that was a good O-line, and it was decimated because, I don't know, they looked at Chip Kelly wrong. I don't know. Have another smoothie, you fuck. And I think that a lot of these deals he signed are going to be the kind of deals that haunt them for years to come.
Yeah.
I do think they still have a pretty good defense, but no defense is good if you're on the field for 42 minutes.
Okay,
which I think they were on the field for 42 minutes on defense, which is
the same. The Saints are terrible.
Yeah, and I don't buy anything into the... The line ended up settling. When we talked about it, it was off the board. But it was 4.5 in one of the pools I played. So when New Orleans was kicking the chip shot, which was less than the current extra points, I just thought, fine, New Orleans can win. I don't care. I'll get my cover. Oh no, he doinks that one. And then the Cowboys give up an 80-yard touchdown 16 seconds into overtime. Fuck my ass.
So that was in your pick 5?
No, that one wasn't in my pick 5. That was just in the other overall picks, but
yeah.
I'll take every game there, right? Because there's the season overall too.
Yes.
And I felt pretty secure about it when they were lining up for that field goal. Nope. That said,
I'm taking Philly.
I'm taking the Saints. This should be a guaranteed victory for you.
Well, the Saints just are brutal.
Well, Philly's just such a cursed team for me, but I still think New Orleans, for all of that, I mean, if they can figure out how to use Spiller... Breeze is light years bit ahead of Bradford, who just looks confused out there now. And a little bit frightened. And I know New Orleans has no goddamn defense, but Philly has no O-line either. And all you have to do is get close to Bradford, and he panics like a frightened penguin.
But why would you trade a quarterback that's been in that system, learning it for 2 years, for someone that hasn't? And that's been hurt. It makes no sense.
Did they extend Bradford?
No.
Okay.
There was talk, but I don't think they did.
So at least they can get out of that, but they're paying how much to Matthews, who, in the 2 games when DeMarco Murray hasn't been in and Matthews has run, Matthews has been productive. So I don't understand... I understand none of their decisions in Philly. I don't know what's in those fucking smoothies, whether it's peyote or what the fuck Chip Kelly is drinking.
No, but it's the same thing we've talked about over and over. They made the decision to get Murray, paid him. Now you got to play him because you paid him.
Yeah.
Not who's being more productive. It's the same old line. Murray can't get anything going.
No, it's not the same old line.
No, but for both of them, I mean.
Okay, I misunderstood you there. I thought you meant it was the same O-line as last year.
No, but then Matthews runs for 140 when Murray's out. Murray comes back, and they go right back to shit.
Well, Garrett ran the wheels off him, but Robert Mays from Grantland a couple of weeks ago had a great tweet. He just said... So running $26 million worth of running back behind $1.1 million of guard is not turning out to be the wisest decision.
Well, that's Chip Kelly's MO.
I love that, though. I thought that was really succinct.
That's good.
Oh,
all right, I'm taking Philly.
I'm taking New Orleans, and just fade me on Philly games. I'm always going to get them wrong. Next up, Seattle +3 at Cincy. I don't want anything of this.
That was one of the games I thought could be an underdog.
I much prefer Jacksonville right now, I'll tell you. Seattle, I did watch that Monday night game. Their O-line is atrocious as well. Detroit had shown nothing in the way of a pass rush. This season, Wilson was running for his fucking life. A couple of times, he did the duck underneath the tackle, sandlot football style shit, and got it away. But a bunch more times he got fucking hammered, including the strip sack fumble return for a touchdown that put Detroit back in that game. And Detroit's pass rush doesn't frighten many people.
No. Cincinnati has a good defense.
This will be all about Seattle's defense, which has looked pretty excellent, but they're not the overwhelming, dominant, terrifying defense. Since he has one of the best offensive lines in football, so I don't think they're going to get pressure. They've got a nice running back by committee, and Dalton has just been sick good. Again, because no one's in his face. When people do get through, he's terrible.
I don't know who Seattle's played the last 4.5 games with Chancellor in the regular season. They haven't allowed a touchdown. In the last 18 quarters, he's been on the field in the regular season.
Yeah, that seems like one of those numbers that's fine. I mean, his fumble strip, like we talked about the call, that was a hell of a fucking play by him. But this defense doesn't blow my mind. Detroit's offense has been terrible against everybody. So, yeah, at home, you managed to squeak out a 3-point win against the Lions. Doesn't impress me.
Yeah, but that defense last year when he came back, it just turned the corner, and that whole team did. But okay, we won't keep it in the mix, but I'm taking Seattle.
Okay, and I'm taking Cincy still. I can't find any big holes in Cincy right now. And Seattle, I see a lot of holes, particularly the offensive line. And again, beating Detroit at home by 3 doesn't knock me out.
No,
really
but I look at
I
look at how Dalton struggled in the second half against Baltimore for the most part, and there's no 80-yard pass plays happening to A.J. Green against Seattle.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Well,
so
all right.
I'm going Seattle.
We have differed. All right, yet again. Next up, we have the Rams +9 at Green Bay. So kind of like Philly, should we just take the Rams out of the fucking equation?
It's -8.5 now. If that makes any difference to you.
Not at all.
I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this game. I know the Rams have fucked us all 6 ways to every Sunday. But I'm taking the Packers at home.
Yeah.
I know their defense isn't as good as the 3-point performance they put up against San Francisco. But Nick Foles isn't a quarterback I know I was defending him in Philly, but he worked in that system.
Yeah.
He's not a quarterback.
Gurley did look good, and everyone's raving, but, Arizona held him for quite a while. Rodgers, unfortunately I play him at fantasy this week, is absurdly good at home. Like, I can't remember the last time. I've seen the stat, but he hasn't thrown an interception at home in 2 or 3 seasons, it seems.
Yeah, I don't...
No, I'm taking
Rams.
Green Bay. I hate laying that many points, but I've still got to go with Green Bay. They're a much better team. St. Louis hasn't traveled well, and I don't think Gadget plays to Tavon Austin. Gurley, I just love great running backs, so I hope Gurley, who was one of the best college players I've seen in years, I hope he's all good, and I would like to see him run wild for the next half dozen years in the NFL, but hopefully not this week.
Jeff Fisher's teams play to win by 3.
Yeah.
It's not going to work against fucking Green Bay. You got to put up 30, and they're not going to do it against Green Bay.
And I find myself perplexed in saying this, but Green Bay's defense, while not great, isn't the worst unit out there.
No, they're playing pretty well this year. That was my one shining moment in fantasy. I picked them up 21 points last week.
All right. Next up, we have the confusing to me Washington Redskins +7 at Atlanta.
Yeesh.
I don't want to go near this, really. I mean, I honestly would almost consider Washington as an underdog play.
No way.
Well, I certainly don't want to lay the 7 from Atlanta against a surprisingly good Washington defense.
Well, didn't we think that the week before last? And then they got fucking shellacked?
No, that was the Jets, wasn't it? We haven't bet. The only Washington game we bet was we took the Rams, and they throttled them.
I know, but then the next week we thought, oh, they turned it around, and they got slaughtered by the fucking Giants. I think you took Washington that week, and they got killed. Because you were all over the Washington defense because what they did to Miami, and then they did it to the Rams, and then you're like, oh, that Washington defense might be something, and then the Giants beat them.
That was a Thursday night, though, so...
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Their defense isn't that good. They beat a couple of crappy teams. And I'm taking Atlanta -7. That offense puts up points.
Yeah, I'm going to join you. I am going to join you, though.
Who's covering Julio Jones?
Well, and if they double team him, we saw what Hankerson can do. Jones had a terrible stat line against Houston, but Hankerson came through with 103 and a touchdown.
And Freeman is running good, catching the ball well, as he told me before we started the podcast. So,
yeah, and Matt Ryan does look pretty comfortable, and Matt Ryan is good.
I'll take Matt Ryan over Kirk Cousins every game they play.
Okay, yeah, we're both on Atlanta. You convinced me there. Next game up, Arizona -2.5 at Detroit.
This one could be in the mix.
On which side?
Arizona.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I just wanted to clarify.
I'm not fucking taking Detroit. You crazy? Sorry, Mitch.
No, it was a gutty effort. But, I think Caldwell's losing this team now, too. We didn't like his hire to begin with. I know the officials should know the rules more than anybody else, but Caldwell was clueless. One writer described him as shocked and stunned when informed of the rule that was an infraction. Not usually how I want to hear a coach described.
Well, but he couldn't have done anything with it anyway.
No, except you could be out there screaming, at least, which is what Belichick. I mean, I don't like this Detroit team, and I don't like their coach. They played much better in Seattle, but Arizona losing at home, which used to be pretty much a lock. They're, I think, going to be motivated like they thought, at 3-0, and we're at home against the Rams. This will be a cakewalk. I think this will focus Arizona. I think this should be in the mix, too.
Yeah. Well put.
All right. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos, 4.5-point favorites at Oakland. I made an argument about fading Denver, but in this case, I don't even mind considering Denver.
No, me either. Just Carr's in his second year, and we both like him. But that's pretty good defense.
It's a great defense. It's a terrifying defense.
They have one of the best quarterback tandems in football, so they should be able to shut down Cooper.
Their safety's good, too, and the pass rush is fairly unstoppable thus far. They had 7 sacks against Minnesota.
And it's never a good sign when the coach for the Raiders is saying, yeah, we still have faith in Latavius Murray. I don't know what he did last week to lose their faith. Did he fumble at a crucial time or something? I don't know.
I didn't know that he'd done anything particularly terrible except not be productive against a less frightening than Denver's defense, the Chicago defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because he had a great game against Cleveland, and then they're like, we still have faith in him 1 week later? I don't get it, but that's never a good sign. So I'm with you. I wouldn't mind laying 4.5 with Denver. They seem to always have Oakland's number the last few years, so.
Yeah, and defense is going to win games for this Denver team, and Oakland facing good defenses like Cincy, who I still don't even put in the same conversation as Denver's defense, but Oakland did nothing against Cincy. Now, Carr left that game with an injured finger, but when he left, it was already pretty much sewed up. Let's just see if Denver can figure out how to get a running game going. Because the way Peyton's throwing the ball, that's going to have to be what wins the game for them.
Well, okay, so let's keep this in the mix.
Okay.
I think the next one should be in the mix, too.
I agree. Next up, New England are 8-point favorites at Dallas.
It's 8.5 now.
Okay.
That still doesn't change my mind.
No, not at all.
The Patriots have shown over the years they don't care who they're playing, how much they're up. They just keep pedal to the metal.
Well, they didn't do that for a lot of years, but this is the FU argument, which you know I'm not a big fan of, but as you said, whereas they might have allowed a backdoor cover in the past, it's not really something to worry about right now, not after the fucking nookies and pink Billy they gave to Jacksonville, just for cruelty's sake.
Well, it didn't. I'm only in it. I only believe in it after what happened with the Spygate thing, when they just put up points after points on any team they played, no matter what the score was. The starters never came out, and they're doing the same thing this year.
Well, and to even add to that, the most effective Dallas player in them staying close in these games was Lance Dunbar, and he's done for the year. If you take away Whedon throwing those 14, 15 targets to Dunbar and picking up 150 yards, Dallas has fucking nothing.
No. They're not going to run the ball. This one's going to get out, and it's a Sunday nighter.
No, it's not.
So, isn't it?
No, it's Niners at Giants. Oh, is it? Because in the order I've got, in what I've got is the Sunday Nighter is the Niners at the Giants.
Oh, that's because okay. I can't log on to Bet365 because I'm in the
you're
U.S.
sinning in the United States.
So it shows me, I believe I'm looking at London time. So it's got Niners Giants Monday, and then Tuesday it's got Steelers Chargers. So yeah, you're right. Okay. It was confusing. I get scroll down to the bottom and it's like Monday, Niners Giants. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a game ESPN would get.
Okay. No, this is definitely in the mix.
Yeah. All right, next up.
Next up is the aforementioned San Fran is +7 at the Giants. I don't like that number. This wouldn't be a terrible game, and I'm fairly confident in the Giants right now.
Yeah, I think they cover handily here, but
do you want it in the mix? I mean, I'm open to arguments here.
Well, what happened in that game? What they do to Rodgers that he only got 17 points for Green Bay last week for San Francisco with that defense?
I didn't see much of it. So
is it just playing at home? Because they shut down Minnesota.
Yeah.
Then they basically shut down Green Bay.
Kaepernick did nothing. He had 100 and almost nothing yards and 40 on the ground. No, I honestly I can't say what happened to.
Because I didn't see nothing, stats, nothing. I just saw the final score 17-3, and I'm like,
and it was 17 early. And the Niners committed a bunch of penalties and managed to get 3 out of what should have been a touchdown, thank goodness. But yeah, then it just held at 17-3 for goddamn forever.
But I don't want to bet it. But
yeah, I'm not comfortable betting this, but I'm taking the Giants too. As I said, I'm in a bit of a reanalysis period. I don't know how that defense is any good at all. Don't know how, can't figure it out, but now that it's repeated, I've got to start thinking that they've got something going on in that defense.
And Eli will just do enough for them to win games.
Yeah, he's not throwing the ball very far. And I don't think the Niners have a cornerback who can cover Beckham. I mean, Buffalo's defense is a lot better, and the Giants just took what they could get against Buffalo and made it work. So I don't want to bet it, but yeah, I'm all on board with the Giants there. And the final game of the week we cannot bet. It is Pittsburgh +3 at San Diego and some random guys they picked up at Home Depot. For daily paper.
I wish we could bet this game.
Really?
I'd take the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to the Steelers too. San Diego, the injuries are just... I've complained about them year after year after year, but this year they're really setting the bar high.
Well, and when Cleveland gives them a run at home because of the bad offensive line, Pittsburgh's pass rush looked great against Baltimore.
Did they? You see, that was a game I didn't see much. I was out for dinner.
Oh, they were on Flacco the whole freaking game. Harrison, I thought, had the sack that finished them.
The Chargers are down to Inman and
Keenan
Allen at wideout. Yeah, they get Gates back, which is nice. Like, the Chargers are going to be forced to run 2 tight end sets because I do think Stevie Johnson is out for a while. It looked like a bad hamstring pull. Like, he just pulled up lame, and then they showed him stretching on the sidelines. And he, as a slot receiver, was working great in that offense. Malcolm Floyd took another concussion, and he took a brutal concussion last year, so I worry about him. The O-line is terrible, and it seems like our cornerbacks start the game most of the time, but they don't make it out of the first quarter. when my cornerbacks are there, it's fine. It's good. No,
I think
I don't want to. I wouldn't be so
can't
confident
bet it.
to bet it simply because San Diego at home against a Michael Vick-led Pittsburgh team that.
But another week of practice, 10 days of practice, first team reps, working with Brown, Le'Veon Bell running the ball, screen passes. And if you have no pass rush...
Well, we actually got a lot of pressure last week without doing much, but again, that's Cleveland.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Why I didn't want to take Cleveland against Baltimore. But I'm taking the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh as well.
I haven't been able to pick San Diego this year to save my ass, but I'm taking Pittsburgh again. I bet against them every week, I think.
So have I. But
Yeah,
last week was
jinxed
great
motherfucker.
because the Chargers won but failed to cover. Because I still couldn't figure out how they were 6.5-point favorites against anybody. All right. That is the week. So the only underdog we've got right now, sadly,
Is Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. So let's book that.
On money line?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta change. I'm doing this on my phone, so this might be a little painful.
Well, you can do them afterwards if you want.
Oh no. Oh
Okay.
no, it switched easy. It didn't have to change page. So we got Jacksonville at Tampa Bay on the money line, plus 125. This is where I have to change it. Bet slip. We're betting $10. Pays $22.50. Okay.
All right.
Done.
And then we have 3 games in consideration. We have Arizona minus 2.5 at Detroit, Denver minus 4.5 at Oakland, and New England minus 8.5 at Dallas.
Okay. I'm for Arizona and Denver. Oh, Dallas is terrible though.
Yeah, I like New England maybe the most, even though we're laying a whack of points.
Yeah, and it could be the start of the Matt Castle era in Dallas. Okay, we'll book New England, and then we'll fight it out over the other two.
Okay.
All right. So we have New England minus 8.5 at Dallas. Betting $10. That pays $19.09.
All right. Hey, we're
Booked.
not even paying a premium for betting on New England this.
No, well, it's because the spread's so big.
Yeah. So that leaves
Arizona and Denver. Now, Denver struggled.
Yeah. Like, they've won 2 games on defensive touchdowns, which might happen again, but really tough to predict and rely on. I think we forgive Arizona for shitting the bed last week. Detroit has no running game.
No. And Stafford's been awful.
I think I prefer Arizona here over Denver.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't trust the offense of Denver at all. Running
Yeah, but,
or
okay.
throwing.
Chicago beat them, though. They went in as favorites and got beat by Chicago. And Manning killed. Remember the Manning game last year? When he ran back in when Osweiler was putting his helmet on?
Yeah.
It was 42-14.
No, that was the San
Choices.
Diego game where he ran back in.
Oh, was it? I
Yeah.
thought that was Oakland.
No.
Shit. With that, the way you described Denver's defense, with the
They're a
second
better
year
defense than
quarterback,
Arizona.
Yeah.
But we're laying 4.5, which Denver really hasn't won by big scores at all.
No.
3 against Minnesota.
Can they cover those wideouts? Who's covering Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders in Oakland? Even if he can only throw it 8 yards.
Well, Oakland, I think, has been okay against wideouts. They're just a disaster against tight ends. Which is why I picked up Owen Daniels this week for a bye week, Phil.
Yeah.
But
with the pressure that Denver's defense should get, there's going to be turnovers.
let's take Denver.
Yeah. Take the known commodity over Carson Palmer. All right, we have Denver minus 4.5 in Oakland. I think that's a value play even, because it's usually double digits,
Yeah.
and I don't think Oakland's there yet. Like this
No,
should be at
Oakland's
least a
definitely
touchdown.
better, but
This should be a touchdown line.
well,
I
and
think
what we're
I think-
betting on here is the defense, which is truly ferocious. I think they're the best defense in football right now.
Yeah. Well, they won them 2 games already this year, so I'll take them again.
Really 3, because Minnesota was driving for at least
Oh,
a
yeah.
tie, and a strip sack on a safety blitz, I believe it was. It was a safety or a corner. It was a secondary blitz. Like
See,
Wade
now
Wade
you can-
Phillips is creative.
Now you're making me second guess. I'm glad I haven't put this in yet. You're making me second guess. I know Minnesota
I don't
has
trust
good
Arizona
pass
out
rush.
of the desert, Boyd.
Okay, done then.
Okay.
Okay, we have Denver minus 4.5 in Oakland. $10 paying $19.09.
Okay. I will recap. We are putting our perfect underdog record on the line by betting on Jacksonville. We have taken a money line bet. $10 pays $22.50. We have Denver traveling to Oakland. They are 4.5 point favorites. We have Denver. $10 pays $19.09. And we are hoping New England are just cruel and evil bastards. They are 8.5 point favorites at Dallas. $10 pays $19.09.
Cool. You have anything else you want to add, or should I wrap this puppy up?
I think we should just wrap this.
All right. You can check out our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines or our personal Twitter accounts at OLinesMarlon or at OLinesBoyd, Facebook.com/Offensive Lines, and if you want to send us an email, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon, and those were our Week 5 picks.
Generous fucking gambler.